financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is from good to bad. Had a job, cash in the bank, now disabled with tax debt. Help me. Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here. We're a little concerned about your grammatical construction here, but we'll continue.
I'm concerned about your aqua blue shirt, so how's that?
I like this shirt.
Jeffrey Linden.
I'm sorry, I was shirt distracted. Good morning, Ken.
One good deed deserves another. Jeffrey Kirshner, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm here to be your life raft.
Okay, so I have
Life raft?
So
Save him from the blue shirt.
I was going to say,
I have 3 sport coats and Mr. Aquaman. Okay.
You wish you looked this good right now.
Yes, I wake up every morning and I say, Lord, I just want to look like Brian. Please, Lord.
Do you ever do this
make
in the
me
mirror
look
sometimes?
like
Just
Brian.
give one of these and see.
Okay. Bill the truck driver. Annual income $120,000. Self-employed. Lives a normal life. He's got a home, 2 cars. He's got $10,000 cash in the bank, $40,000 in credit card debt. He's happy. He's living a good life. He's doing okay. He doesn't, he's no complaints. He's not, he's, living the dream, as we always say. Taxes. He's self-employed. He stays current on his taxes, but he does the same mistake that many self-employed people do. Rather than paying in his taxes in the current year for the current year's taxes, he's usually catching up. So in 2020, he's using his 2020 income to pay his 2019 taxes. In 21, he's paying his 20. He's always a year behind, and that's, but he's never really had a serious problem. So in 2019, he paid those taxes in 2020. Now, little preliminary issue. He's self-employed, but he reports his income. He's not working for cash and living outside the system and not paying into the system. And why is that important?
Well, if you don't pay into the system, so to speak, if you're not paying Social Security and Medicare into, or the self-employment tax in this case, you are not going to be eligible to receive either A, Social Security at all, or B, the maximum amount, or anything in between if you didn't pay into the system.
Or Social Security disability.
Correct.
If you're injured. See, there's so many people out there that say, I only work for cash. Just give me the cash. And the laborer, and it puts the employer in a bad situation, because if you're paying your employees for cash, you really can't deduct the expense, because you're not permitted to do that. And the employer wants to deduct that. The employee wants the cash because he doesn't want to pay into the system, doesn't want to pay taxes. The problem with that is that employee, forget about getting injured. He gets to 66 years old and he wants to retire. How much Social Security benefit is he going to have in retirement?
Well, if you've paid in 0, you get back 0. Period.
Now, that guy who's worked for cash all his life, do you think he's sitting on $500,000 in savings in the bank to retire off of?
Unlikely.
First of all, he wouldn't be smart to be putting it in the bank when he hasn't been reporting his income, because that could be a problem for him, known as criminal tax fraud. But in reality, that person never has any significant savings. So now he gets to retirement age, he's got no money, and he's got no retirement. I'm not going to convince anyone to change their habits, I realize, but maybe a few. This notion of only getting cash and not paying your taxes precludes you from Social Security income, and if you get injured, precludes you from Social Security disability, which can be a lifesaver.
Right.
And you should think about that when you're young and you're dumb and you're making that mistake, because you're going to regret it when you're old and you're not as dumb. And you'll realize how stupid you were when you were young. That's just, take it from me. I mean, as you get older, you realize these things.
And we've just turned off 40% of our viewers because we just called them dumb.
Well, but
ill-advised.
how do you qualify for Social Security disability benefits?
Well, obviously you have to have a disability, but first of all, in order to get Social Security disability,
I mean, what makes you eligible?
they look at your wages, and you, as of the time you became disabled, you had to have worked 5 of the past 10 years or 20 of the past 40 quarters. They break down a year into 4 quarters, and to earn credits for a quarter, it's $1,300 per credit. So earning up to $5,200 gives you your 4 credits for the year. So you have to earn money.
You have to earn it, and you have to declare your income and pay your taxes.
Right. We've talked about this before. Earn money all you want is fine, but it's declared. The government looks at what you have paid into taxes, what you have declared, not just what someone has paid you.
You know, it's not just self-employed where you have that problem. It's also, especially in the restaurant industry, where a majority of people work on tips.
Right.
They're under declaring their income because they don't want to pay taxes on it, and they're doing themselves again a disservice.
So they'll have some benefit, but not as much.
Right.
They won't right. Brian's right. They won't maximize.
In this economy, where it's difficult to find help, you don't need to demand cash. You need to demand pay, and pay it into the system. Just demand more. If you're netting $800 a week working for cash, then go to the employer and say, "I'll work, but you got to pay me $1,200 a week." You'll net your $800.
A market for employees, and people don't realize that employers are dying for people. This is the time to go into an employer and demand more money because they need you. They need you more than you need them.
And the truth of the matter is, the employer's better off paying you $1,200 a week and getting the deduction than paying you $800 in cash, because the employer gets the deduction. If you play the system the smart way, it's better for all, including you. You don't have to think. Don't listen to Jerry the bartender, who thinks that there's always a scam of getting around and playing an angle that works out for you. There's a downside to those things. You need to pay into the system, and you're going to find out why after the break when we talk about what happens to poor Bill. We'll be back after the break. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We were here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We'll create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients.
You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We have a program. We've already developed it and put it in place, and we've been waiting for the rollout for the moratorium to go down. It's called the Eviction Defense Program, the EDP by THAV GROSS, and we've developed it and put it in play. But here's the big point, which you were making. You're going to get evicted if you're a tenant, and you need to get on top of this, and you need to defend it, and you need to do everything you can to protect your interests. And the last thing that you want to do is do nothing. All right, so let's talk about Bill. Everything was going okay until horrible accident. He rolls the truck. It's months before he's going to be out of the hospital. He's never going to walk again. His truck driving days are done. Sad. He's living. He's alive. Does he qualify for disability?
Most likely he does. So, with regard to Social Security disability, you've got to be unable to work for 12 months or longer. When Social Security looks at your claim, if you haven't been off for 12 months, say you've been off for 6 months, the anticipated duration has to be 12 months or longer. So if you've been off for 6 months and you apply, and that's usually the time where I advise people to start applying. Run 6-7 month mark. If they know and they anticipate that they're not going to be able to work, Social Security has to be convinced that the next 5, 6, 7 months they're going to be off work. You don't have to prove that you're disabled forever. It's 12 months or longer. So
he's probably going to meet the 12-month rule regardless, because he's going to still be in rehab and everything
based
else.
on your scenario, yes,
Yeah.
and absolutely I have to apply. And the worst thing that happens, let's assume he goes back to work in month 10 or 11. Okay, they deny you, you withdraw the claim. There are no fees to pay an attorney, so don't allow it. I've heard some horror stories lately of attorneys charging money up front. Do not pay attorney up front.
Is it illegal?
It is. Any fee from Social Security has to be approved by Social Security to begin with. And I actually have a big issue right now with an attorney out of New York charging a client thousands of dollars to pursue a claim. But so there is no cost to an attorney, and there is no filing fee. So if you apply and you get denied or you go back to work, okay, no harm, no foul.
Well, let's talk about going back to work. Here's the
what if
question.
you go back to work for 6 weeks and you find out that you just couldn't do it?
After you've become disabled?
Yeah.
So, if you've become disabled, Social Security allows what's called the trial work period. Trial work period is a 9-month window within 60 months, so 5 years. You get 9 months. In those 9 months, earn your heart's content, earn your millions of dollars. It doesn't deduct any Social Security, so that'll coordinate your benefits, and it doesn't count against you in terms of the determination as to whether or not you're disabled or not.
Kind of a 9-month sample.
So you get 9 months.
But you had to have been approved by Social
Approved.
Security
You have to be
first.
approved first. That's correct.
To do that work?
No, to do anything.
Oh, to do.
You have to be disabled. Once
Yeah.
you're found to be disabled, you get that 9-month window. Specifically because Social Security doesn't want a scenario like you're trying to describe, Brian, where you touch your foot in the pool for a minute. You go to work for a day or two, you can't work, but Social Security says, wait, you earn money for 2 days, you're out of luck now.
Does
So
Social
they
Security have the
encourage
right?
you to work.
Let's say, okay, so Bill recovers, but he's now can't walk.
Okay.
But he's a bright guy, and he can become a computer programmer, he can do social media advertising, he can work. Does that disqualify him from disability? Let's say he has the ability to work. Like in private insurance, if you have the ability to work, they can say, hey, we're not going to pay you disability.
Right. So with regard to Social Security, there's some regulations that come into play once you hit age 50. If you're younger than 50, you may have a problem, although we could still work out in terms of time you need for
Are there
breaks.
people younger than 50 out there even anymore?
I've heard of them.
Not in this room, but that's okay. But with regard to being able to work or not work, at age 50, there's some regulations that come into play. So a scenario like this one, it's possible that you could be unable to do your past work, still be able to do some things, but if you can only be found to do what's called sedentary work, which is the lightest work, lifting 5 pounds frequently, 10 pounds occasionally, sitting 6 of 8 hours, standing 2 of 8 hours, etc. If you're found you can only still do sedentary work, you're past the age of 50, can't go back and do your past work.
So if he can't walk, could he never even qualify for he couldn't do sedentary work either?
He could. If you can't, you could still qualify for sedentary work, but if all he could do is sedentary work, can't go back and do his past job, there are regulations that come into play that would allow someone 50, 55, 60, that's when the regulations change, to still get benefits even though you could still do something. So it all depends, but once you hit age 50, you get these regulations.
So if he was 48...
You don't get it's 50.
But what if he was 48 and that's when he had a disability? When he turns 50, do then those regulations apply?
Correct. But then there's other things that we look at before age 50 in terms of time off task. They allow 15-minute break in the morning, 30 to 45-minute break at lunch, 15-minute break in the afternoon. If you have to frequently lay down throughout the day, or a good one is if you have to keep your leg elevated throughout the day. You can't keep your leg elevated past hip level and be at a workstation. So that's preclusive, even though you could do those other things.
So he's making $120,000 a year.
Okay.
Generally speaking, what kind of disability benefit would he qualify for once you go through the process?
Well, in terms of how much he would get, most likely he'd probably end up with about $2,500 to $2,800 a month.
Right now, is that $2,800? Is that taxable to him?
Yes, but it's a very low tax rate.
Because he's not going to be earning that much income.
Correct.
All right, so in our case with Bill, safe to say with this horrific accident, he's over 50 years old, he's going to end up getting that $2,500 or so a month.
Yeah, based on that scenario, that's a very strong case.
How long is that going to take before he sees that money?
All depends. So there's a 3-step process. You file an initial application. They usually analyze it in the next 2 to 4 months. Statistically speaking, he probably will get denied. If he gets approved, great, gets benefits. If he gets denied, the next stage is you get a love letter saying you got denied. You file a request for reconsideration. And that intermediary stage, again, it takes about 4-ish months or so for them to make a decision. You could get approved. Statistically, though, they will deny
it's from
you.
the short to the long.
And then after that, though, is the third, where you request a hearing, have a hearing with an administrative law judge. That's taking about 10 months. So overall, you're looking at ballpark 18-ish months or so, 18 to 20 months.
So during that period, he's not going to receive any money.
Correct.
He's in the hospital part of the time.
Correct.
And so what does his family live off of?
Well, it all depends. If he has a private disability policy, that, savings, other things of that nature, but just not income.
You're just not getting any.
But you could have passive income.
You can't apply for any advanced payment of your Social Security disability.
Correct, unlike personal injury claims. But you can have passive income. So you can't have active income. You can't be working 40 hours, but if any investments, if you're an owner of a business, but you're not actually doing any of the work, you're getting money because you're the business owner, you could get that income and not count against
Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to analyze his financial situation now that we know he's got to survive this 18-month or so average period. We'll take a break. We'll be back after the break. We have a program. We've already developed it and put it in place, and we've been waiting for the rollout for the moratorium to go down. It's called the Eviction Defense Program, the EDP by THAV GROSS, and we've developed it and put it in play. But here's the big point, which you were making. You're going to get evicted if you're a tenant, and you need to get on top of this, and you need to defend it, and you need to do everything you can to protect your interests. And the last thing that you want to do is do nothing.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us to Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. You can always come in at THAV GROSS for a free consultation. We're doing them via teleconference, live in the office, Zoom conferences, and phone conferences. With COVID, you've got to be flexible, so we can do it any way that you want. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg. Also remember, you can always sign up for our free webinar, debt relief webinar online. Go to thavgross.com or lawandreality.com. You get all the answers you need in terms of solving your debt issues, solutions with bankruptcy, as well as solutions outside of bankruptcy. Also, go to our website for free reports, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden, Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so let's look at Bill's financial situation here. He's got no money in 2021 to pay his 2020 taxes, and he owes $35,000 in taxes. His budget, he was making $10,000 a month. He was netting $8,000. He had a mortgage payment of $1,750, a couple car payments, $850 total. Credit cards, he's got $40,000 of credit cards debt. He's paying $1,000 a month on the credit cards. Utilities, insurance, food, entertainment. He was spending the whole $8,000, but he was basically breaking even, including paying $1,000 on his credit cards. All right, now you're saying in 18 months, he'll start getting maybe $2,500 a month.
Right, and then there's a lump sum payment, too, of any back due benefits owed to him.
All right, so Jeff, Brian, what does he do about his taxes? What does he do about his debts? How does he survive between now and the 18 months? What do we tell Bill to do?
Well, in the taxes, under his current income situation, we can most likely get him to be, it's called currently not collectible
Because his income is zero.
Right. But so the currently not collectible status will stop collection efforts and liens and levies by the IRS for 18 to 24 months, and they'll look at it again and determine if your financial situation changes.
All right, so the taxes is a controllable thing. He doesn't have to worry about
it
that.
doesing go away, but they leave you alone for a bit.
Well, how's he supposed to survive?
Well,
First of all, how is he supposed to survive until Jeff gets him the $18,000, the $2,500 a month that's backlogged for 18 months?
So, reality. He needs to do whatever he needs to do.
He's got about
$100,000
$100,000 of available credit.
He's going to live on his credit cards, and he's going to spend it. and he's going to save his cash and not touch his other assets. And at the end of the day, before Jeff gets him his award, we're going to file a bankruptcy and discharge all of that debt. We're going to discharge everything that's dischargeable tax debt-wise, and 18 months down the road, we have more that will be able to be dischargeable. And
So the credit cards will go from 40 to 140, and then you'll discharge them? Okay.
And here's some would say that would be, if you know you're going to file bankruptcy, you shouldn't do that because that's
He doesn't
fraud.
know because he could win the lottery in between that period
True,
of time.
but at the end of the day, no matter what, I can make it so Bill is never collectible. Because his only source of income is going to be Social Security disability.
Yeah.
It's not garnishable. He wants to get out from under all this debt. Not only does he get out from under the credit cards, but he gets out from under the mortgage. And he can live there for 18 months.
I just want to say something. You're a very talented lawyer, but to make Bill uncollectible when he only has $2,500 a month coming in for the rest of his life on Social Security disability, I don't think it takes all that much talent to accomplish that.
But
I'm sorry.
The reality is that they get
Even Jeff could do that.
They get to get rid of. They get to get rid of their
Sorry.
credit card debt, the house, which they really can't afford.
Well, that's my big question.
They literally can file the bankruptcy, discharge their obligation to pay on it, and then live there probably for upwards to 18 months for free.
And then at that point, because realistically, you get rid of the credit card debt. He's going to get rid of one car because he only needs one for his spouse is going to have to get a job and work.
Right.
Because if not, they're not going to be able to sustain and keep the house.
Right. So it isn't pretty.
Right.
The Social
But if
Security
she
disability is
if
designed.
she or he, if his spouse gets a job and has another $2,000-$3,000 a month coming in,
They could cover
then
it.
they could keep the house.
But remember that Social Security disability isn't designed to put you back in the position you were in. It's supposed to give you the equivalent of what you would get if you were retired at Social Security
that's
age,
correct.
right?
Right.
So the problem is the earlier in life that you get disabled, the less likely you have the ability to put money away for your retirement.
Good point. Well, one question I just want to make sure I'm clear on. I think you answered it. Does he need to file the bankruptcy before Jeff gets the back pay?
Yes. Either file before, or you have to wait until after the back pay's been spent.
All right. So because that's going to be like a $35,000. That could be a $50,000 check.
Absolutely.
So you run up the credit cards because you have
Theoretically,
to.
that's what's happened.
You file the bankruptcy. You get him the check. Now at least he's got $50,000 in the bank to work from.
Yeah.
While maybe his spouse works to get another job so that they can keep the house, and you've got a plan where you can keep him in that house for a sustained period of time without paying.
It's all about timing.
And it's all about survival too.
Absolutely.
Jeff, good to see you again. Thanks
a
for the
pleasure.
tips on Social Security disability. Jeff Linden, always a pleasure. Brian Small, almost always a pleasure. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.